Hey everybody, Edo here, and for this week's League video, I want to talk to you about making videos. Now, if you're going to be doing a Kickstarter, the reality is you're going to have to make a couple videos. You have to have, you don't have to, right? But you should have the lead-in video for the campaign, the header video, and you also are going to want to make a how to play video. Those are two critical videos for any board game campaign. Now, of course, you can pay somebody to make those videos for you or work with them, and that's a fine solution, and if you have the budget and you know those people, that's great. But I think for the bulk of first-time Kickstarter creators, the truth is that you're going to be making those videos whether or not you've ever made a video before. So a couple... so basically, I just want to take you through the basics. Now, I'm not going to be using a bunch of B-roll and taking through exact editing steps, but I want to give enough information so that you feel comfortable taking it on. It really, really isn't that bad, okay? So first and foremost, when you're making a video, right, you want to spend a little bit of time thinking about what the video is about. So when it comes to that header video, putting a little script, thinking about your elevator pitch for the game, deciding how extravagant you want to go in your video making. It is totally okay to make a video that is you talking at your camera. That is fine for your first campaign. If you want to layer in other effects, if you want to layer in a how to play, if you want to, you can do all those things, but don't be afraid to just talk to your audience about the incredible thing you're trying to do. In particular, for first-time Kickstarter creators, that really is an effective way to connect and inspire people to back and pledge your project. As you get further down the road, you know, and you've done more and more campaigns, most people feel a need to start mixing in other things. The how to play really just needs to clearly show how to play your game. So, really the basics here. Camera, you need to record this. The fortunate thing is almost anyone with a smartphone is going to be fine for recording a video. I'm using a iPhone 7, but I used to use an iPhone 6. I think at one point I was using an iPhone 5. You know, whether it's a Samsung or any modern phone, honestly, is pretty good for making the kind of videos we're talking about for Kickstarter. So the chances are you have that camera. You can have a bigger camera and do all those other things, but I can't even help you with that. I've been always using my cell phone as my camera for all of my campaigns and anything else, and every video I ever made. So you need the camera. You need something to hold it in. And this doesn't have to be a giant tripod. People have tripods and booms and all. All you need is a little Gorilla or small little tripod that can hold your phone and tilt it. They're 10, 15, 20 bucks. You can go to Best Buy or see them on Amazon. You just need to make sure that your phone is compatible or that it has a connector that will hold your phone. And really what you want to do with that is make sure you're able to have it stable and angled, right, so that you're in view. Otherwise, for height, I put that tripod on board game boxes. I have different board game boxes. I'll throw in another one if I want to get more of a down angle. I use my games to support my videos. So, your camera, your tripod, some sort of tripod. I don't have a mic, like a lapel mic or anything like that. I've thought about investing a number of times. I've never brought myself around to doing it. I just use the phone mic. You need to do some adjusting in your editing, but I also use the headsets over here so that I can start the video from here. I've done these enough that I can sort of do it on my own and be in frame and that kind of thing, but certainly you can always have somebody standing there with you. That's the next thing I highly recommend. Find a friend. They don't have to have any editing experience, but somebody there to sit with you and listen and start and stop and say you're in frame and participate goes a long way. You'll just feel better about it. You'll be more inspired. You'll get feedback. Now, some people get uncomfortable. Some people start stuttering or losing their train of thought when somebody's looking. You need to have somebody who's not like making fun of you while you're doing the video or chuckling. That's not helpful. But really, as long as that person's there to support you, super helpful. This is spouse, friend, roommate, brother, sister, whatever, good and valuable. So you've got your camera, you've got your tripod. Lighting is just find a bright space. You want to frame your shot. You want to be in it. You probably want to have some sort of board games in the background or maybe the game in front of you, but this is our dining room table. This is our, I live in a 2-bedroom townhouse, so there isn't that much space to be having a dedicated area. This is in fact where we keep our games. But just turn every light on and open all the windows. You can't see it, but all these lights on, those lights are on. I just turn every lights on. When Tiffany was here and supporting and helping on a couple videos, at one point or another, she had like, highlights with the cover in front of them or whatever those are called. And there's all sorts of things you can do to level up your video making. Tons of it, right? But that's not what this video is about. This is a Kickstarter basic for people who just want to get through it, right? So you have some support. You've thought about what you want to say in advance. Then practice. Practice reading it, practice saying it, walking through it. Don't try to get it on your first take. Just get comfortable with what you're saying. People feel differently, but I am a strong believer in not reading what you're saying, not the teleprompter, right? You really write it out, practice, 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 get comfortable with it so that when you're talking about it, you can be emotive, you can be looking at the camera, you can be aware of what you want to say and what you're trying to convey, and you're not that sort of reading text, flattened personality on camera. I remember when my mother she's never really done much camera stuff, and she was doing the herbaceous how to play video, and she had written it all out and was sort of trying to read it every time, and I was just like, Mom, just can you practice without it? And she was changing, and she's a writer and an editor, so she is very particular about words, so she was getting frustrated because she wasn't saying the exact thing that she had written, but at the same time, when she wasn't reading, it was more natural. You want to come off natural and engaged and passionate about your project and your game. So again, write it out, think about it, be concise. You don't want a 15-minute thing. You want it to be a minute, 2 minutes. How to play could be longer. And then you want to be able to just say it. Don't try to get it in one take. Take bunches of takes. You'll find that in certain areas, in certain ways, you like things more, you get used to it. I can't tell you how many times the energy of me or the people with me waiting for lunch or trying to be done got in the way of just doing a good job. That's important. So you've got your materials, you know what you're going to say, you're giving off or doing your campaign, spiel, and you're recording. Start, stop, you get it all, okay? When you are done recording, get those files from your phone and get them onto your computer. Don't let your phone run out of remember, make sure you're all the way charged. Make sure your phone is charged. Make sure when you hit the record button, you're recording. Practice that. Know that it's on. Most phones don't have a light to tell you. Get the files onto your computer so they're saved. Nothing sucks more than doing a good take, having a good video, going for a 15-minute spiel, and then finding out it wasn't recording. Oh my, it is awful. And it's going to happen, so don't feel too bad, but, try to avoid it. So, you've got all these takes and you've got all these assets and you're on your computer. Now, I used to use PCs, now a Mac. I use iMovie. It's the Apple movie software. It is totally fine for what you need. It is great. On Windows, I haven't been using it. I don't know, it's Premiere or Movie Maker or whatever application you need. You just need a basic editing program. I've even edited my videos on my phone a few times with apps. You don't need anything incredible. You're not going to be doing anything incredible this time around. The other thing after you film is you want to create some B-roll. Now, I don't really use B-roll in my reviews. I could, and they'd be better, but it takes time. But for Kickstarter campaign video and how to play, you should be using B-roll. And what B-roll is it's footage to use to overlay on top of your A-roll or your main content. So B-roll, what you're going to do for your Kickstarter video, but also for the how to play, is that's holding your camera and filming and leaning into your box and leaning away from your box. It's panning across your components. It's splaying your cards in your hand if somebody can hold your camera. It's if you have two cameras, you can do it at the same time with the camera behind, but if you don't, you film how to play this way, and then you do it all again with the camera looking at the table. It's actually, if you've taught your game a bunch of times, you're usually okay not filming it concurrently with two cameras. It's certainly easier if you can, other than like hung camera from the top and like with a boom that was it was a ladder with a broom, and it was like taped to the broom. Like there's all sorts of crafty solutions you can do, but honestly, most people absolutely have a cadence and have a way of explaining things, and if you do it a couple times, you'll have it. So you want to get this B-roll, zooming in and out of your components, doing a bunch of still shots, have art of each game, of each component, dice rolling. The other B-roll that's fantastic to have if you can is B-roll of people playing your game. That is immensely valuable. So if you're at a campaign, or not campaign, if you're at a con and you have the opportunity to film people playing your game, do it, right? So your B-roll is going to be comprised of close-up shots or sort of zoom in, zoom out shots, images, footage of the how to play or the components moving around, maybe a pan around the table or something like that, and if you have it, footage from a con. So that's sort of your raw materials. Now again, your first video, your first time, you can just have the video be you sitting there and talking. It's okay. But in your software programs, most of them work the same. If you can get through and learn how to use the Kickstarter site, you can learn how to use iMovie. You're going to have files of all this video footage. Name them as well as you can. Intro 1, great, first half, bad back, take 1, take 2, take 3, close-up shot of cards, just so that you can quickly, you're going to have a lot of files and you just want to know what to get. Then essentially, you're working on this timeline, and the first thing you're going to bring in is your main video. Bloop. And it's going to make this long line, and you can zoom in and out, whatever the program is, but that's your main video. Now, most programs, iMovie certainly, have a number of sort of adjustment, autocorrect, we can make you look better tools. And, whether it's called Magic Tool or whatever, you could look it up, but usually there's a button that will color adjust your whole image, so it just sort of levels the lighting, which is usually useful, but if you do it on one, remember to do them on all. And then there's audio leveling. You really need to make sure that your volume is crisp enough, and if you're using a phone camera, sometimes it's not. So you can jack that up across the entire video, and then there's usually a filter for reducing sound or humming or sort of that kind of noise, and you can mess with that. There's also typically usually like a shakiness reduction. If you're in a tripod, you shouldn't have that problem. Sometimes if you're trying to get smooth takes, when you reduce the shakiness of a film, what you're doing is reducing the quality. So it's better not to be shaky. If you are, then maybe it'll zoom in, or maybe it needs to take the quality somewhere to resolve that shakiness. So I bumped the table. So you get that in, mess with some of those tools, and then what you're gonna do is, and there's different people have different opinions. I'm not a fan of cutting out lots and lots of noise, especially when you can see it. So in your A roll, I don't almost ever cut out dead space unless I made some mistake, or every once in a while, but I don't do that thing where you see somebody talking and then there's a click and then they're talking over here and then there's a click and the video is very choppy, right? Not choppy, it's like boom, 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 and it doesn't pause. And lots of people do it. I don't like that vibe. It feels edited, right? I like the feel of somebody talking for longer than they should. And, maybe if I did more editing, I'd have more viewers. But I still feel that it's better to feel genuine. Now, this is where all that B-roll comes into play. So you have that main line, and there's usually a transition tool. You put a fade out at the end or something like that, and you're going to have an opening image at the front, but you set that up through Kickstarter, so it's not in the actual film. And you are going to then be able to put your image, and it's probably different in different programs, but you basically put another clip or a photo above or below or whatever needs your main line, and what it does is as it's coming through, it's going to say, while the audio is playing, show that image. And it would also play the audio, so you have to turn the audio off, pick which audio you want, and so what that allows you to do is, one, make the video more interesting. If you're talking about the board, show the board. If you're talking about the name of the game, show the box. see any video, and most of them do this pretty well. If you're When you say an example, show the example, things like that. But the other thing it lets you do is audio. That jumpiness I was talking about is a visual thing much more than it is an audio thing. People have natural pauses and drops in their voice, and so you can sort of clean things up if you need to, if there's another image playing. So typically, if I do want to edit things down and shorten things down, I'll use B-roll so that I can. So if I'm talking and then I had a long pause, or perhaps I had two main videos of that main one I did, and the first one had a great first half and the second one had a great second half, but I messed up on the other ends, but I want the other halves. You put a pan across all your games that takes 5 seconds, and in there you can mash those together in a way that feels natural and works. So that's really the advantage of B-roll, and I wouldn't get any further. I think that this should be the extent of you messing around on the first time you've ever done video editing. Hey, if you know an editor, use an editor. If you know somebody to film it all for you, film it all for you. But again, Kickstarter basic type thing. You're going to finish putting your video together. You are going to download it. Remember to set all your settings in terms of the quality. 720 is pretty good, but you can be 1080 if you want to, if your camera can support it. It's a bigger file. And then you are going to upload it directly to Kickstarter in the Kickstarter case for the header video. For the body video, you can do directly with Kickstarter. I do through YouTube, and then I link it because I have a YouTube channel. It sort of depends on how you're approaching social media. But that's it. And once you do a couple, you get better and more comfortable. Like I've said all over the place, if you've never done it before, do a video, and your Kickstarter's in 3 months, do some other video. Try your how to play video. Just do a mock review. Film your kids. Getting used to that software and being comfortable before the deadline, the day of, and you forgot how to do something is really valuable. So I hope this was helpful. I know I didn't do any B-roll, which could have been great, and I didn't go into the specifics on one program or another, but really, again, it's just about being comfortable, working it out, and sort of following those basics, and anyone can do it. So subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Most importantly, play some great games. Thanks.